Hi guys! So welcome back to another episode. Actually, the first official episode of our live season. So yes, I finally managed to come up with a name that I'm satisfied with. I wanted to call it the seasons of our life, but it's taken and it's too long. So I kind of settled with our live seasons. And there's a good reason for that because like I mentioned in the previous episode, I was talking about how I believe that in life in general, it's like the seasons that we all know of, right? There's like winter, spring, summer, autumn, and stuff like that. And every season actually comes with like a lesson, right? The things that we need to learn. And it's just a different phase of life, right? So the reason why I came up with his name is because like different cycles actually represents different things, like it teaches us different things. So I feel like it's very, how do I put it? It's very on brand in a sense as compared to like what I'll be talking about. So because I'll be talking a lot on my life in general, the life lessons that I've learned, and different episodes gonna be representing a different season of my life. And so that's why I decided to choose this name, our live seasons. So welcome to the first episode. And what better way to start the first official episode with the last season, which is the winter season, my winter season. So I just want to say that I just before I dive into everything, I just kind of want to talk about what winter seasons of life basically represents. It represents death, like a renewal or cycle. It represents a death of cycle, not literal death, but more of like death of old beliefs, death of situations or relationships that you have outgrown, that no longer serves us. And then we are looking during this phase, during this winter season, we're actually looking inwards. We're spending more time with ourselves. We are looking back at, whatever happened and reflecting on the year. So basically that's what winter season is like. So I would say that my winter season was actually last year, the whole of last year, 2022, especially towards the end of the year, was when things were tougher for me. And I realized that, oh, I'm actually entering my winter season. So it may seem that winter season is the toughest year of your life, but it is actually the most important part, at least for me, like what I think, because it taught me a lot of things in 2022. I outgrew a lot of things, and I kind of want to like segregate it into three different sections. So first, relationship and friendships; second, business and career; and then third, mindset and lifestyle. So these are the three significant parts of my life that I feel has the most impact, which is actually, if you think about it, is the most, I don't know, like common thing in life. Like it is what makes up life, these three different segments. So my winter season has definitely impacted these three segments. So that's why I kind of want to talk about each of them. And then I would also be touching more on like what I've learned, how it has actually helped me, like looking back at hindsight, how I've actually grown from all these scenarios and how it had actually helped me, even though it literally felt like I got hit by a truck. Or yeah, it just felt so bad. I don't honestly right now I don't even know how I actually go through 2022, but I'm glad I did, and I'm very appreciative of the things that have happened to me. So without babbling on, I'm just gonna dive right in. The first segment, which is relationship. Okay, because I've never actually like talked about this after everything that happened. What happened was, I'm not gonna go like super in depth in terms of like the nitty gritty of what exactly happened, why we broke up and stuff like that, or why I ended my 4 year relationship. But I'm gonna give a very brief idea so that it's easier for context purposes. So, um, okay. So I ended the relationship because I felt that I'm just okay. By the way, before I say anything, I just want to say that this is my side of the story. It may be different for his side, but yeah, this is just my side of the story. See, so don't come at me for it. So I ended a relationship because I started finding myself having some sort of red flags in terms of like my actions in terms of me not being able to express my emotions, my feelings, and my, what do I call it, like my goals in general. Like I would stray away from expressing my truth, my honest thoughts, and I started to actually bottle up. Like I bottled a lot of things up. I bottled my and it leads to like a lot of unhappiness and resentment within myself, though I don't really show it, but it will come up like here and there. And when I do that, that is when I know, like looking back, I know when I start to bottle things up is when I start to feel like, something's wrong. Like it's just basically like a red flag, and I'm detaching myself from the relationship, and I don't feel safe enough to share my feelings. So that was one. Another reason was that I feel like we were on a very different pathway because of where we are in life back then. Back then, but like last year, I was um working a lot on my business. I was actually trying to get my business up and running while he was actually entering university. So it is a very different stage in life. I would say that he's more realistic and I'm more idealistic, even though you might think that it should be like a swap, like being in university, you're more idealistic because you can do a lot of things that you want to do as a student. But being as a working adult or running a business, you would think that I need to be realistic, right? But for us, I think because his like in general, he's more realistic to begin with, and for the very start of our relationship, he has actually balanced us out like quite well. Me being an idealistic and him being a realistic, he has balanced us quite well for the first 2 years in our relationship. And then I think last year was when things started to get a little more hectic. Like we had more issues and problems with us having this mentality and us not being able to come to a point whereby we can agree on certain things. So I feel like I wasn't able to express my goals. I feel that, my goals were too idealistic, that it's to a point I felt I was delusional. So that was when I started to lose a little bit of myself. And I'm saying all this not because I'm trying to pinpoint like who's at fault and stuff like that. Basically what it means is just we both outgrew the relationship, and what might work for the past 4 years would not work, moving forward with the new mentality and the new things that's happening in our life. Okay, so that's that. And it became to a point whereby it started bothering us. We would start having fights about it. We just couldn't see eye to eye. And I got to a point whereby I wanted more time alone. I wanted more time to my business, to work on my business. And I think at that point in time, like looking back now, I feel like I've actually slowly started to stray away from the relationship and feel like, I've only got my business, and my business is the most important thing. Because I did actually told him, and that was one thing that I think he was like really hurt by. I told him that I don't see a point in, if you are not supportive of my business, then I don't see a point in having you in my life. Yes, it's hurtful. It's very raw. It's very like in your face, because that's just how I am. Like I used to be someone that is very, I wouldn't say confrontational, but I'm just very opinionated and I'm very straightforward with whatever I'm feeling. But I feel like as time passes, because eventually when you are with someone, you would tend to, mellow down and be more like, I don't know, I guess not as straightforward, because then sometimes I feel like when I say certain things, it might come across the wrong way or it might be really hurtful, especially when I'm talking about this right now. Like I don't want it to come across as like, oh, it's his fault and it's never my fault. But it's more of like I just feel that after processing everything, yeah, I just feel that we have outgrown our relationship in terms of mentality wise, in terms of ambition, in terms of dreams wise. We are just not suitable. And I think that for the 4 years that we are together, we have actually grown a lot together as a couple and individually. So yeah, and I just want to preface by saying that we have grown quite a bit because of him being in national service. So like in Singapore, for guys, they have to do like 2 years of national service, right? So we were together during that 2 years, and then we go through like a lot of tough times together, and I feel like we were very understanding towards each other during that period of time. So I'm not so that's why, like, by me saying this, I'm not saying that 90% of our quarrels or our fights are really a lot on like values and future and just like how we visualize our future in general. It's not those petty like quarrels, I don't know, but yeah, that's what I'm trying to say. So um throughout these 4 years, I would say that you can tell as we progress, it's a lot on like values that we just don't align anymore, and yeah, we're just not in a sense on the same frequency and safe wave. wavelength. Okay, so future prospects wise, yeah, it's just we are just not on par. So we tried working things out, but nothing was working out in a sense. Nothing was aligning. We were straying further and further away from each other. I feel like we were going this way as we are trying so hard to work things out. And we've tried for like many months. We tried to, yeah, we just tried, but it just didn't work. Okay, so what was the breaker was that just one day I think I was so upset with myself. I didn't know how to deal with the emotions that I was dealing with. And I decided, with my business and with the relationship, I decided to take 1 month off to go to Penang to find my brother, because my brother is situated there right now. So that was the only place that I knew that, it was away from Singapore, that I had time to think things through. But that time when I thought about it, it was mainly on my business, not so much on the relationship. But what I did was I booked a ticket to Penang, and then for 1 month I didn't ask for permission, I didn't discuss. And when I booked, I told him that I'm going, and that's that. Like, yeah, there was no discussion, there was no permissions, there was no, like, oh, I think I should go and stuff like that. Nothing. Because I felt like I mentioned earlier, like, I felt like there was no need for me to say it, and it was a non-negotiable. I could not go. It was the only escape route that I knew then, right? So that, I think, kind of hurt him more, in terms of like seeing how like our relationship is actually straying away, and then me wanting to be away for 1 month. I think I remember when I told my parents about it, they were like, oh, then what's gonna happen to you, like your relationship? Like, no one actually leaves for so long, this and that. And I was like, I can't. I don't see myself staying here for um like, I just don't see myself staying here to a point where I feel like I would just burst out, right? I needed to escape, and that was my only option. There was no other option, that was my only option. So I think, like, he felt disrespected, and I understand. But if I was given the same, like, decision or same choice, I would still make the decision like 100%. Hands down, I would still do the same thing, just because I felt like that was the best decision that I can make for myself at that point in time, right? To really just like soak things in and to come back with a clearer mindset. That was what I had in mind. So because other than relationships, I think, like I mentioned, I was working on my business, right? It wasn't picking up the way I want it to be. I was very stressed. I was constantly burning out, and it felt like I was constantly doing the things, but nothing was showing. I was worried about my future. I was worried about everything and anything in general, and the relationship just kind of added onto it, and I felt like I don't know what I was doing in life. So that's why I insisted on this 1 month trip to Penang. Okay, so it actually happened. It happened out of nowhere. Yeah, I think just one day I just felt like flying, and I did. So yeah. So what happened like after that was that, long story short, we stray further away, and things didn't work out. So to sum it up, like I mentioned, we both outgrew the relationship, and it was a smart choice, I feel, for both ends to not drag it out and just let it be as it is, and just ended it. So what happened was, when I ended it, it felt so weird because I was relieved. Yeah, I might sound like a psychopath for this, but like, I know it's 4 years, it's very long period of time. Don't get me wrong. Like, when we were working things out in between, I literally had, times and moments where I was bawling my eyes out. I don't know how this is gonna work out. I don't know how, what's gonna happen and stuff like that. I was lost in life, in the relationship in general. I was just lost, and I was a mess. Right. But when I decided to end things, I had a long time with myself, thinking things through, and I feel like that was the best decision that I had to make for both of us, right? There was no point in dragging. So after that, I felt so much relief, and I felt like I could be myself again. So that was when I felt that. Of course, I felt like, why would I think that? But I knew that this decision was meant to happen, and it had to happen. Like, it was supposed to happen way back, but we just drag it out, right? So I felt like I could be more of like myself, and I knew that, deep down, the authentic me, the authentic self, was waiting to for me to stand up for her, and to be able to come up again. So this is just my side of the story, and I just want to, quickly move on to talk about the lessons and what happened after. Okay, so right now, of course, at the start, it's not all rainbows and butterflies. I feel relieved, yes, but I have a lot of things that I didn't know I had to work on. So things like I was really at the start, I was really uncomfortable being alone. I've never been alone for the past more than 4 years of my life, especially when when you're in a relationship. Majority of the time, you spend it with your partner, and weekdays, weekends, any free time that I have, I spend it with him, and it was good memories. It was good moments, but I lose sight of myself. I lose track of who I wanted to be or who I was, which I feel like is very normal. I'm not, like I said a lot of times, I just want to repeat it again and again. I'm not blaming anyone, but that was just what happened. I was constantly like uncomfortable because there was so much more time that I have on hand right now, right? I don't know what to do with myself. Like I can't even be alone for 5 minutes. I will literally just be, I don't know, just frantic, wanting to go out, to socialize, to find my friends, to go out with my parents, to spend time with my brothers, just because I don't know what to do with myself. I'm afraid, like looking back right now, I'm afraid that if I spend more than 5 minutes with myself, I'm afraid of what I would uncover. I'm afraid of hearing that inner voice. Because for the longest time I've actually lost touch with her. So I just don't know how to handle her. I don't know how to deal with her. It's like that person that you just don't want to deal with. Just, hopefully she'll leave you alone, but no. So as time passed, I knew that I needed to start being comfortable with myself. I wanted to figure out what exactly was happening. I wanted to know like how my authentic and my true self was gonna be like. And I wanna find back myself. I feel like I really lost myself. I don't know who I was. I had no sense of identity. And it scares me to not be able to sit with myself and have a proper conversation and even think about what I was thinking. So it took time, of course. It took months to actually build myself back up. So what I did was I built slow habits when I was commuting to work or when I was just alone in general. What I would do is I would indulge in podcasts. I would really just occupy myself with self-love podcasts, self-care, self-help, any form of podcast that would help just to keep my mind occupied and to pour in positivity into my mind because I knew I needed to heal that way, and that was the only way that I knew how to heal. And so before that, I did of course set an intention, which I feel like is the most crucial part to healing. The first step is to set an intention to actually want to heal. I don't know how I was gonna heal. I don't know how long it was gonna take me to heal, but I knew that I was gonna heal, and I knew that I wanted to heal. So that was like the first crucial steps, and then the actions just kind of follow. So that action looks like listening to podcasts, and then whenever I was commuting, like specifically during time, because my commuting hours are really long. So it was like 3 hours in total back and forth. So these 3 hours, I really was sipping in any information and any knowledge that I can. I was reading. It was if I wasn't reading, I mean, if I wasn't listening to podcasts, I will be reading books, which is again like self help, creativity, how to live a creative life, and stuff like that. So things like that really helped me during that time. It helped me to reprogram all the negative self talk that I was telling myself, all the stories that I was telling myself, the identity that I need to outgrow during that period of time. So all these actually happened within a short period of I think 2 3 months towards the end of 2022. So it was hectic, you can tell. And January 2023 was the start of my actual healing process because I was still like trying to understand what was going on and what was happening. I was trying to push it down and not look at it for the last half of like 2022. Okay. So I slowly started to make it a habit where I would sit down with myself just 5 minutes. It was forceful at the start, but I had to do it because I knew that was the only way that I could get myself to talk, like my inner child, the deepest side of me to talk and come out to play again. Because I've lost touch with her, right? So every day, like 5 minutes, I would just be in my room. I would sit down with myself and I would start to realize what was coming up for me, like whether or not it's negative self-talk or whether or not it's this identity that I was holding on to, like what I was telling myself. There are times where I feel like anger, resentment, like sadness. It was just a whole entire roller coaster ride of like emotions. And what I did was to let it flow through me. If I was angry, I let myself feel the anger. I didn't try to figure out like, oh, I need a solution to it. It was more of like, okay, I'm feeling this anger and where is it coming from? So I listened to myself. So I built up like day to day, 5 minutes. And then as time passed, like for a few months in, I started enjoying having this alone time. I started enjoying the time with myself, journaling everything out, and then really see what comes up because it became like a game for me to see what am I working on today, what am I healing today, and to slowly see how my day to day becomes more like positive. I feel more like I feel happier, and then things around me started to shift. It's really crazy when what you can do with your mind, and when you start controlling it in a good way, of course, what it can do for you and how your environment will change together with it. So that was something that I actually started to realize, and I just kind of went on my healing journey, and I was so positive. I was so happy that it felt like a new version of me. I've never seen this version of me before, this playful, this light-hearted version of me, because I've always been someone that is so hard up, like so controlling. I want to control every single thing. Like things need to go my way. If not, I will go crazy and stuff like that. So yeah, for the first time I felt like, oh, this I can be like this. Like life can be this easy, life can be this happy and just this enjoyable. So that was when I really dived deep into like the whole self-help, because before that I was really into self-help and all like the meditation and the spirituality and stuff like that. But because I felt like I wasn't allowed to be this spiritual person or have this identity, I pushed it aside and try to make do with whatever that I have and be a proper and normal human being and not be this weird ass like woo woo person, right? Which I am though deep down, like I still am. That's why in this podcast you will hear me talking about like manifestation, spirituality, the universe and stuff like that. So if it's not your thing, then it's not your thing, but it is my thing, and I want to share like how it has actually helped me. And I know that there are a lot of people that are getting to know what manifestation is like or what spirituality in general is like. So yeah, okay, I know I went on a tangent. What was I talking about? Yeah, so I did a lot of like self-love activity, and it consists of times whereby I would work out, I would journal, I would start going on walks, I would take myself out on dates, I would literally eat alone, and that was something that would scare the shit out of me whenever I do it like in the past. Because I don't know, I just feel like when I see people eating alone, I feel so sad for them. I will feel like, oh my god, they are so lonely. That was my concept. Like being alone equals to being lonely. But as time passed, as I start to really understand the concept of inner peace and finding this inner peace within me, I realized it's actually not like you can be alone but not lonely. And I was really happy being alone, and it's kind of low key like addictive. I really crave for time alone now. I enjoy my off days being alone. I will walk around like Marina Bay Sands, just being alone, it, soaking everything in, and the vibes is just yeah. I'm a person that I really thrive on vibes and energy. So that was kind of my thing. And now I'm proud to say that I'm so much better, as you can tell. Like I feel I'm glowing from inside, outside. I don't know, my mentors can tell that I'm glowing, my friends can tell that I'm glowing. I feel and can tell that I'm glowing. So I would say that whatever happened really helped shape me to become who I am today, to have the mentality that I have today, to even be able to sit here and talk about this. Because for a very good period of time, I didn't want to talk about it. I just wanted to process it alone. I didn't want to be talking about this when I'm not ready, and to have a lot of like resentment and anger that brings up, and know that I'm gonna regret, talking about it. But now that I've healed and I've looked back at the whole entire situation, I feel like, I'm pretty much good to go, and I'm healed. So I can talk about it. Okay. So what else? Yeah. So to sum up this segment of my life, the relationship part, I just want to say that uh, when a relationship ends or friendship ends in general, it's not the end of the world. Even though I know and understand that it may feel like it, sometimes moments like that, I feel like we should just go with the flow. Don't rush to heal, because that was the thing that was never for me. I never wanted to rush the healing process, because I know sometimes it takes longer, especially for 4 year. 4 years is a very long period of time. It may not be the longest. I know there are relationships that are like 8 years, 9 years, 10 years, but sometimes even 4 months can hurt like it's 8 years relationship. So I would say that never ever rush through the healing process. Always give yourself time to let yourself sit with your feelings, and most importantly is to introduce new activities that would help bring you back to who you were. Slowly but surely you'll get there. I know it's very hard at the start. All you could think about is just lay in bed and cry and think about what happened and just process the whole, replay the whole entire scenario in your mind. I've been there. I know how it feels like, but it's not gonna help. Like as time passes, you're just gonna get sick and tired of your own shit, of repeating this whole cycle of like just self-pity. Yes, it is very sad to, end a relationship of however long, but at the end of the day, just know that there will be a better side. I am where I am today because I believe that with with my heart, like fully, even though I don't know how I was gonna heal, but I trusted that I was gonna heal, and so I did. So yeah, like I would say that the wiser choice is to not rush into relationships, because I know for myself, like at the start I was really very uncomfortable with being alone, and all I wanted to do was to find my friends and to be out constantly occupying my mind. But that was the worst thing to do, actually, because then you don't allow yourself to like, sit in all the emotions and to understand, like to process everything, right? And some, I know some people might rush into a next relationship and before healing, and they end up not knowing what exactly they want. So I would say that as much as you have the urge of like going back on dating apps, or like, I'm not saying I have, but like I know some people or my friends, they do have the urge of going back to dating apps and being in the dating scene again without healing. I would say that you're literally opening yourself. It hurts, but you're literally opening yourself up for another heartbreak, because you don't even know what you want. You don't even know what exactly um happen. You don't have time to process all the learnings, because I feel like every single end of like a cycle, you have something to learn. You definitely have something to learn. You just need to take time to sit there, think about it, and process it. And trust me, coming out of the other side, you will know exactly what you look for in a partner, what you can accept, what you can't, your standards, your expectations, yeah, and stuff like that. So that's this section. Trust me, going through everything, I don't regret anything that I did. I don't regret being in this relationship, of course, like 100%. It has only helped me become a better person that I am. And from like right now, I feel a lot of gratitude, and I feel a lot of like love for myself, and yeah, for whatever that's to come. So I'm in a better position. So this is exactly what happened, like for my relationship in 2022. Okay, so that was how we both of us like outgrew the relationship. So moving on to the second part, which is career or business in general. This has got to be one of the biggest change in 2022 to 2023, like except for, yeah, I mean these three are the biggest, but this has got to be one of the most shocking thing, because like I briefly mentioned, I was actually trying to start my business. And a little background, I tried literally anything that I can that time. Like anything that could make money or anything that was trending, I tried it all. Okay. So let me kind of talk a little bit more about my entrepreneurial journey. So yeah, so for context purposes. When I was 17 or 18 was when I first started a very small passion project, I would say. I was a graphic designer working for different companies for free because I wanted to build my portfolio. I knew in year two of my diploma that I wanted to do something along the lines of designing. I love designing, I love the idea of it. And I feel like, okay, I don't know what I want to be, but I just know that I want to design, right? And for that, I want to build my portfolio. So that's when I started reaching out to companies, um, to organizations, and to ask for permission to design something for them and just to work on my portfolio free of charge. Looking back at my designs right now, I'm like, it looks like I don't know what I was doing, but 17, 18-year-old me was proud, was fearless. So I sent out like a lot of emails, and while I was studying, I was still working on projects and stuff like that. So that was 17, 18. Um and then I kind of took a break because of school and preparing for internship for my last year, which is the third year of school. And I was very, after that, I was very much interested in, because I had my internship in the States for 1 year. So after coming back from the States, I was very much interested into like the product based business. I would love to have a brand that I can call mine, a product that, a physical product that I can feel and look at and just feel so proud of it. It feels as if it's my baby. So that's when I started this sticker greeting card thing. I call it When Collective. So basically what it is a lot of like I went to source from my own suppliers on AliExpress, Alibaba, to print out cards, greeting cards, and I designed myself and try to sell it. I mean, I had a couple of sales from my friends and my family members, which I'm very, very grateful for. My first customer, I would say, was, if I'm not wrong, was from Vanessa. So Vanessa, if you're watching this, like, thank you, you're my first customer. And I know that you probably still have the card. And I literally I hand wrote like a note. What am I talking about? I literally wrote like a handwritten note for her just to thank her for supporting me, and I was just in the whole entire like gist. So through this experience, I actually learned to source suppliers. I learned to speak to suppliers and to know like the different qualities. And I really truly enjoyed the whole entire process though. Like, not gonna lie, but of course at the end I did not sell much and it failed. So that was my, I would say, my first actual like business. And then moving on was drop shipping. I'm not sure if you guys know drop shipping, but shipping is basically like, it was perfect for me at that time because I did not have to keep like products on hand. I did not have to risk having products at home and not being able to sell out. So that was like perfect for me. I didn't have to keep stocks, right? All I had to do was to have a website where people purchase, and then I would fulfill it directly from the China supplier, and I didn't have to do anything. I didn't have to ship out from my site and stuff like that. So it was all taken care of. So this period, I mean, this business actually allowed me to level up my skill sets because I had to start learning how to create a website from Shopify and running Facebook ads, creating Instagram account, creating content, knowing all the algorithm stuff, especially if, like, for the Facebook ads part, it was not my thing, but I really had to learn like marketing in general. So now I saw a slight improvement of results from my previous business. I had four-figure months, but a lot of the money went back into Facebook ads because I was literally solely running on Facebook ads. I had to. It was the only way that I was getting customers, but it was not profitable because Facebook ads, if you guys run Facebook ads, you will know that it's crazy. Like, they will ban your ads like left and right because of whatever reason, and yeah, it was just hectic. So I started losing money when the ads just didn't work and I was just banned from the whole entire thing. So of course sales dipped, and then yeah, it was pretty much the end of my journey. I actually was doing this for like a good year, I think, on and off. I was trying at least. And then in the meantime, I was actually going back and forth into 9 to 5 because I had a friend who needed help at the company. So I went there to work as a marketing executive. So that was when my whole marketing journey started. Okay. So guess what? After all of this, I'm actually back at my original journey of being a brand designer. So this was the path that I actually fully loved. I really truly loved that, you know, like designing in general, brand design. So but this time around I actually went, instead of being a graphic designer, I went more like, I niched down further and labeled myself as a brand designer and brand strategist, whereby I help brands, coming up with their building their own brands, startup business owners building their own brands and creating this brand identity that was strong enough for to be recognizable on social media or to their customers in general, right? To stand out from their industry. So this is the path that I really love. I tried coaching, but you will quickly realize that it doesn't really work because a lot of times business owners would want you to do the work. Like, why would I pay you to teach me how to do when you can actually just do it for me? They don't have that time. So that was that was a huge lesson learned. I kind of figured this out, like, I think 2 3 months in, which was not really long, not very short, but it was a good lesson learned. Anyways, so it didn't work out, and I'm back to being a brand designer where I'm designing ad hoc stuff, taking on like passion projects from my past clients or referrals. A lot of my clients are basically from referrals, which I'm very, very, very grateful for because I really don't like run ads or just like start finding customers. I'm very lucky to have them come to me for projects. And yeah, so that's that. So you would find me going one whole round, coming back to the same thing that I was doing, designing in general. And I think my mom, she used to tell me, like, don't you think it's such a waste of time that you went the whole entire round and then still end up at the same place? I told her that I don't feel like I went one round and came back at the same place and I didn't learn anything. I felt like I needed to do that. I needed to take this detour, per se, open inverted detour, to be able to learn the skill sets that I learned, which I'll explain why it actually helped me right now in my current situation, what's going on now. So, um, yeah, wait, let me just, I know I went on a little tangent, but I just want to basically fast forward to 20, no, like rewind to 2021, where I was actually, like I mentioned, I was hopping in between 9 to 5 and freelancing. So after I ended my 9 to 5, I was actually freelancing for a whole entire, and this was the longest period of time that I was actually freelancing. And guess what? Like, I was still struggling. It feels like this whole entire journey I was just struggling. But yeah, I was still struggling financially, and this time around I hit my lowest. I literally had $900 in my bank account. I don't know what I was doing in life. I spent a lot of money away from, like, just running ads, purchasing, I don't know, softwares, upgrading myself, investing in mentors, coaches, business coaches that would help me, anything and everything that I could to get my business up and running. So I'm left with $900 in my bank account. And that was when I started to panic. Like, my money mindset was so shitty back then. I started to panic, like, oh my God, how am I supposed to survive? And that was why, like I mentioned at the first segment, I decided to take a break and go to Penang for 1 month just to sit with myself and think what am I gonna do next, right? So I decided to spend majority of my money booking the flight to Penang and then spending it there. Was I crazy? Yes, I was probably crazy, but why do it again? Sure. But yeah, I knew that no matter what happened, I was gonna make it no matter what happened or what was in the way, I was gonna make it happen either ways, because like I mentioned, it was a non-negotiable. I had to go there. So this was when things start to get really interesting because I remember so clearly. Okay, just for context, my elder brother is not someone who likes to really care much about what I'm doing in life. Like, my video got cut off because I had no storage left. But anyways, like I was mentioning, my brother is not someone that is really like, yeah, he just doesn't really ask much about my life. But I remember having that dinner with him, and I was just talking to him about my struggles in business and just what I honestly think about, like, what I'm doing and how, yeah, basically how I was struggling. So he literally looked dead straight in my eyes and he was like saying, Wadi, I don't know how you're living life like this, but you need to have like a plan. You can't just be living life like this and then not having a plan. Just go back to 9 to 5. And I remember hearing this and it literally hit me like a truck. Like, I was so upset because deep down, I know that it was the truth. I know that it was the option. It was one of the options, but I just didn't want to look at it that way because back then, what if you know me, or rather like the people that know me, they will know that going back, I always used to tell them that going back to a 9 to 5 means that I surrendered, means that I failed. I'm never gonna step into business again. I'm never meant to be an entrepreneur, this and that. So that was the mindset that I had. That was the belief that I had in my mind. So saying that I have to go back to a 9 to 5, to me it hurts. My pride, my ego, I was just scared to death. So this is when, like, it really gets interesting because I as much as my whole body was rejecting to this idea, I remember going back that night, sitting down and really thinking through my options, and I came to realize that that was the only option that I had. Because $900 and I'm draining it, first of all, I don't want to live off people. I don't like the idea of living off people. Second of all, if I don't do anything about it, I'm gonna be living this first scenario, which I hate. And I don't want to with my whole entire body. So I knew after, weighing out my pros and cons and really just, yeah, I hated the idea, but I knew I needed to go back to a 9 to 5. So what I did was I decided to use the 2 weeks that I have left to start finding jobs, sending in resumes and going for interviews. And within 2 weeks, I got a job. I mean, within a week of interview, I actually got a job. So getting a job is not something that I've always worried. It's more of like going through the motion of a 9 to 5. So I started my 9 to 5 when I was still in Penang. And I would say that, yeah, that literally leads me to where I am now. I can't believe it. Okay, because it really just took me 2 weeks to be able to get it out. And going back at 9 to 5 was so tough for me, because literally within 2 weeks, I wanted to throw my letter. I wanted to throw my resignation letter and be like, I'm done. I just can't deal with this. And it was just me. I know right now it may sound like, oh my gosh, she's such a brat, like she's this and that. But it's because I have very, very high expectations of myself. I know what I'm capable of, and I don't want to drop things that truly matters to me, that I truly desire and dream of. So that was the mentality that I had back then. I just didn't want to go back to a 9 to 5, but I knew that I had to persevere, because there was there was no way. I wasn't given a choice. I wasn't given an option. My business was still not working. I had to drop everything. So what happened was I stopped my business. I stopped my creative business and just focused on 9 to 5. I literally surrendered. I can remember thinking that, I don't know where this is gonna lead me. I'm just gonna surrender and see what hits, what's gonna happen. Will I be working in 9 to 5 forever? I don't know. Would I want to? Of course not. But that was when I really remembered surrendering and be like, you know what, I don't know what's happening, but if whatever that, it's planned out for me, I'm just gonna trust that it's gonna happen for a certain reason, right? So that was me back then. And yeah, like I said, here we are now. I'm still in the 9 to 5. I wasn't making things hard for myself by constantly telling myself like, oh my god, this means a failure, because I choose not to tell that to myself. I read enough self-help books to know that that wasn't gonna help me. So I knew that was a smarter move to make as an entrepreneur, because as an entrepreneur, you need to know when. I learned the hard way to know when to put down my ego and when to put down my pride and be like, okay, look, these are your options. Pick one, go with it. There's no need to be, dramatic about the whole entire thing. Just let it be, let it flow. So that was the mentality that I had, and I knew that it had to happen for a reason. Um, it got cut off again, but anyways, okay. I just want to say that, right now I'm financially stable. I'm able to treat my parents to so many things, and just really seeing them enjoy and being able to come from a place of abundance, being able to travel whenever I want to. I think like that was the biggest thing for me, to know that, having this financial stability was allowing me to live the life in a more light-hearted manner. And the best part was, I can't believe I'm saying this, but I literally manifested the amount that I wanted to manifest within 4 months. I gave myself 1 year to manifest this amount. I remember writing it so clearly in my journal in on January 2023, and then saying that, okay, I'm gonna manifest this amount within a year. I don't know how it's gonna happen. I wrote it down and left it as that. Literally within 4 months, I was able to have reached that amount plus some more. So I really am very, very grateful, and also to be able to travel, because my goal for 2023 was to be able to travel more, a lot more. So if you follow like my personal Instagram, you will know that I'm actually traveling so much more this year. Like I have so much plans. My travel plans are like booked out till the end of the year. I'm going Sydney in August, and then September to October I'm going back to the States. I'm going back to San Francisco, solo trip. And then in October I'm going for a business trip to China. So yeah, it's crazy. And I've been to like Phuket, I've been to Penang. So it's just really exciting, and I can't believe I'm living like this life. So yeah, now I'm just financially stable. I'm so happy. And the most important part, I think, for me is to be able to tell my passion. Instead of expecting my passion to support me, I'm now able to, think of my passion as this little girl and tell her that, you know what, it's okay to have fun. Like, you don't have to support me. I will support you. Because for the longest period of time, I've been wanting whatever that I've done, like the businesses that I have or that I was trying to build up, I wanted them to earn me money. So it came to a point where I was burnt out. I was constantly burnt out. I was just upset because they weren't earning me money. So that passion became a chore, right? So right now, I give myself that time to just tell my passion and be like, go have fun. So look at this, like this is my passion project. It doesn't need to earn me money, but I'm just so excited and so happy talking about the things that I'm so passionate about and just sharing the things in my life, hoping that, you know, it will reach someone, that whoever or anyone that's listening to it, even for myself, to look back at this video and be like, I remember back then she was still, you know, she was in this situation, and I'm just so happy that I'm able to manifest the things that I want to manifest, right? So uh this is really really freeing for me. So that is like the business part of things, whereby right now I accept the fact that, you know, going back to 9 to 5 doesn't mean I failed. I'm still working on my business. I still have the idea and that dream of being my own entrepreneur, and I know that right now the difference is that I'm just giving it time. And I know that whatever that is meant for me is gonna come to me eventually. So there's no need for me to be a control freak. And I just live life happily. So that's that. And then the last segment kind of ties in with the first two segment, because of course throughout all these things that happen, the one thing that needed to change the most was my mindset. I outgrew a lot of my mentality, and I had to take on like a new identity. I had to learn to let go of a lot of the mindset things that were not serving me. Things like, you know, going back to 9 to 5 was a failure. Things like, you know, I can never be seen alone because I just felt like, you know, being alone is just so embarrassing. Another thing was like, there's only one way that my dream can manifest. This was the mindset I had. There was only one way that my dreams can manifest, and it has to be my way, the way I visualize it. I can't visualize it like other ways. I don't see it coming in another form or in another way. And if it doesn't come my way, I'm never gonna get it. So this was a really shitty mindset that I had. That I had to really learn and reprogram myself to know that it's okay. Things are gonna come when it's time. So what I've learned is that when you actually start to let go and when you actually start to surrender, which I believe, you know, is something that everyone struggles with, because we are constantly like in our comfort zone. We constantly want to be in our comfort zone. And it's normal. I always used to want to be in my comfort zone as well, until I realized that for us to grow, we have to get out of it. There's just no way that we're gonna grow in our comfort zone. That's why it's called comfort zone, right? So, and another thing is that when I start to lean into trust, I start to lean into love, I start to lean into gratitude, is when things happen for me, for my sake. You know, when I understand that the universe denials are not the universe delays are not the universe denials. So, uh, I lean what am I talking about? Yeah, but okay. So what I've learned is that the universe delays are not the universe denials. And when I learned that, I actually lean a lot into trust. I lean a lot into faith, a lot into love, a lot into gratitude. And I was just so happy every single day knowing that, you know, things are about to happen and they will all happen for me. Whether or not I'm getting it today, it doesn't matter, but I know that it will get to me eventually. And when I start doing that, and when I start being in this mentality, everything just flows naturally to me. So the reason why we are called human beings and not human doings or human surviving in general is because we are meant to be on this earth. I believe, at least, we are meant to be on this earth to really just soak in and to be ourselves, like to really have that peace within ourselves and enjoy the present moment, being part of the nature and being one with the things that is surrounding us. So that's why we are called human beings. But we really missed out like the being in humans, where we are just constantly doing, constantly searching for the next. And I used to be like that until recently, where I need to learn how to slow down and not stress out so much, because I'm like a fritter brain. I like to, you know, I don't know, I like to just think of the worst case scenario and really start to panic, which I feel like at the end of the day, it doesn't really serve me. So that is something that I'm still trying to learn, but I'm getting better at. And like when you fully surrender and fully let go, you will start to ease yourself into a different zone out of your comfort zone, and that's where you really start to grow. So to kind of wrap up, I know I said a lot of things and it's just all over the place, but to kind of wrap up, if you are in your winter season right now, which I can totally understand and relate, just know that all you gotta do is let go. I know it may sound so simple, and you might be like, what the heck? Like if I can, I would have. But really just trust, um, just let go. Let go of all the things that are not serving you, be it a situation, a person, a mindset, a matter, whatever that is. You have the answers within yourself. and take the time to kind of sit with yourself and soak in all the emotions that, ask yourself, what is something that you have been fighting in hopes that it would stay by your side? And that is probably something that you should let go of. It is a sign to let go, because I always believe that what's meant for you will stay in your life no matter what. And you don't need to put up a fight, or you don't need much effort to make it stay, because it is meant to be in your life. And what's not meant for you will have to leave eventually. If it's not now, it'll be tomorrow, it'll be a few years down the road, it'll be a few months down the road. Eventually, it will have to leave. And no matter how hard you try to hold on to it, it will leave you. And I don't know if you guys seen before, like a photo. I've seen a graphic before whereby it's just two hands holding onto a rope, and the hands are like, you can literally tell that it's bleeding. So what it basically means is that when the tighter you're holding onto the rope, the more painful it is. So if you let go, yes, you'll still be bleeding, you'll still hurt. But if you let go of the rope and you allow yourself to heal the wound from your hands, and take the time to heal. Of course, like every other wounds, you need time to heal it, and just shower with love and care and nurture it. It will heal. Yes, it might have a scar, it might leave a scar, but you know that you trust that it will heal eventually. So that's the same thing for life. Like, let go of the things that are not serving you, let go of the things that you are constantly trying to hold on to. It's a sign that you should let it go. Okay, so trust that the universe has got your back, that everything happens for you and not to you. So there's a difference between, just a shift of words. The universe delays are not the universe denials, and I'll say it again and again and again and again. The universe delays are not the universe denials. Your turn will come, your manifestations will come, your desire will come when it's right for you. And for that to happen, you will realize that you need to go through like a period of time whereby you really just outgrow a lot of things. You go through a whole hectic period of time before your manifestations like start coming in. And that's the case for me, that's the case for a lot of things that I've been trying to work on and think about. So if you still have your reservations, which I totally understand, I just want you to sit on this, to listen to this podcast again and again and again, and just know that eventually you'll come to see what I'm trying to say. You'll come to understand that everything just works out for you in a way, because you can actually look back at the things that happened in your past, the things that you feel like you were not able to move past, you actually did. You're here now. I mean, looking back at it, there will always be this bittersweet memory, there will always be this lesson that you needed to learn, and you could only learn it that way. So when you believe it, and when you have this mentality, everything becomes easier, right? So I want I kind of want to end on a note whereby I want to let you know to see things from an open heart, to see things from this pure love and gratitude, which I know it's really hard to appreciate the things that is literally destroying open inverted, destroying your life. But I always believe that things happen to you for a reason. And when you trust and when you let go, you'll be okay. That eventually we'll all be okay. Things have to pass, and things eventually will pass. So don't try to be too hard on yourself. Take time to heal. So this is just kind of like the summary of what happened to me in 2022 and how I outgrew a lot of things. And right now, where I am today, I'm very proud to say that it was because of the things that happened in 2022. I am this happy, I'm glowing, I'm loving life. And yeah, like I mentioned in the previous episodes, I do have a lot of things that I'm still working on, and which I'll be talking about in the next few episodes. But yeah, I hope that you guys take something out of it, or rather, this has actually helped you. And I can't wait to look back at this episode and be like, oh my god, like there's another, change, or my next winter season. I don't know when it's gonna happen, but I know that right now, the next winter season, I'm gonna be more prepared than ever. And how I see winter seasons, or before I go, like how I see winter seasons is that I get excited because I know that each winter season there's something for me to grow, and I will become better. After winter, it's spring, and spring represents a whole rebirth. It represents new beginnings. It represents, you being a new person. So when I think about winter season, it's not as bad anymore, because you know that out of it, you're gonna come up as someone that is really just a new version of you. So keep that in mind, and I'll see you in the next episode next week.